So, how my friend group works is we have our little circle of people who we hang around with most often. But for big events or bonfires or something similar, we expand and a couple different friend groups join in. Ben is a part of one of these extended friend groups. He is someone who always posts different and interesting things, who always has something to say. I've gotten along really well with Ben at these events, and we always end up chatting. I've always found him to be a different and unique individual. Ben started going to my local college this year. He shot me a Snapchat basically saying, "Hey, all my friends went away to different schools, and the only person that I have to talk to from the area is my now ex-girlfriend. I was wondering if you wanted to get a group together and hang out, because I would like to have some new friends around." It was actually a really nice message, because with the course I'm in, I don't get to make many friends, and all my close friends are spread out too. So I said yes. The hangout was initially supposed to be one of my friends, him and one of his friends. It was the day after class and I just got home. He told me he was going to take a quick nap before we would all head out. When he wakes up, he tells me that it's now too late and he has other plans that he forgot about. That's totally fine and I wasn't upset about it. I cancel with my friend too, so I can just sit down and do some homework. He texted me a few hours later. I didn't give him my number, but he found it, I guess, telling me his other plans got canceled, and he was now available again and wondering if I wanted to do something. I said that my friend was now out of the city, and he said that he had texted his friend, but they didn't answer. He decided to pick me up and go for a drive, and just chat. Normal enough. Ben gets to my house at around 10 p.m. I go and hop into his car and he just speeds off. Oddly enough, he's talking in an accented voice, kind of like Jamaican or something similar. I thought he was just being goofy, so I played along. Sometimes I would answer back in the accent, but then I started to think that it was weird that he wasn't talking in his own voice at all. He was driving like a maniac down the street, telling me how he was drinking earlier because he thought he was going to a party. I asked him if he was drinking and driving, he said no, he only had a few sips. I know I probably should have gotten out of the car right then, but at this point, we're flying down the highway and I'm scared. He begins to rant about his ex and telling me that there was infidelity and trust issues on his end, and he couldn't tell me what they were because he didn't want me to think badly of him. He told me that he was still going to marry this girl and have her children. He ranted about her and got on tangents and started to scream and yell. I started to think maybe he was on some drug or something. We arrive at my college, a half-hour to 40-minute drive away in another city, and he says that we should get out of the car. I'm already scared and my phone is dying, so I just listen to what he says. At this point, I'm literally thinking that he might kill me. He took me for a walk through the light woods and then started to make sounds like a creature. He would make dinosaur sounds, or sounds like The Grudge. He would also walk like a creature, morphing his body into weird, creepy movements. I requested for us to go home because I was literally terrified. We get back into the car and start our drive home. He pulls out a pipe and he smokes something. I told him that he shouldn't do that, but he doesn't listen. Now he begins to yell. He starts back on his tangents about life again. He pulls over the car to get out and does some jumping kicks. Like what? At this point, my phone is dead. He gets back in the car and puts on his favorite song. The song begins slow and then picks up a little later. It's like a 4-minute song. He begins to scream along to all the lyrics, and smash the windows and dashboard and wheel with his hands, stomping his feet. I've seen someone passionate about a song before, but not like this. Ben swerves all around the road until we get to my house. He then turns to me and says without an accent, "I know it's late, but did you want to have sex?" In the most casual tone in the world. I gave a nervous laugh and said, "Actually, I'm good. He turned to the back seat to get something, but I got out of the car and I booked it to my house. I locked the door to my house and the bedroom door in my room as if he would break in. It might not sound as terrifying as it was for me in the moment, but at the time, I was shaken out of pure fear. I don't know if he was just on some crazy drug or if he had a split personality or something, but I've never met a person before who I've looked at and thought to myself, "You're gonna kill someone someday." I really hope he doesn't see this because I actually see him at school frequently. So yeah, it's a fun life. Okay, so this happened about 4 years ago when I was 16. I was super vain and worried about my appearance. I would always want to look so pretty, so I would go all out when I took our pictures. Curled hair, fake lashes, the whole 9 yards. But I've since had kids and have a man who tells me that I'm beautiful when I look like a hobo. I never bother with makeup or anything anymore, really. Anyways, I had my Snapchat account set to public, so anyone could watch my stories or snap me. I always figured, well, if someone is weird or whatever, I can just block them. Yeah, right. Well, one day, I'm out to lunch with my mom when this random dude messages me. Says that I'm pretty and this and that, being super nice. But I don't really care to talk to him, so I'm just giving one-word replies, hoping that he'll get the hint because I hate being rude. And then he asks me to send him some revealing pictures. Absolutely not, and I tell him so. Well, he didn't like that. He said that I was horrible and that he hated women because they were all just like me. And I'm just mad because nobody likes me. Okay. I told him that he was a psycho and I laughed at him. And he threatened to sue me for defamation. LMAO, right? So I thought that was the end of it. Unfortunately, it wasn't. I blocked the dude and I go about my day. When someone adds me on Snapchat, I look at the user info and their snap score is 0 and their username was something really weird. They don't snap me or anything, but continue to watch my stories every single day. Fast forward a few months and this person snaps me. I was doing the same one-word replies cause I didn't really feel like talking. You would think I would have learned the first time, but nope. He starts with the nice small talk whatever, and then out of nowhere sends me a couple of different selfies of myself that were posted in my story months ago. He asks me if I can print them out for him. He gives me these sizes he wants them in, and says that he'll give me his address. Hold up, what? I immediately shut it down. And then this dude sends me a couple pictures of myself, framed in his house on his wall. Heck no. I told him off really good and I blocked him. And then another account adds me, another weird username. I remove it and I change my account settings. He still has my username, so he adds me from a million different accounts which I won't add back. They were all super weird usernames. I won't give the actual usernames, but on Snapchat you can choose a display name. And all of these were pretty similar to the usernames. One was, I'm wet. One was, just add me back. One said, I'm a tortoise. Snapchat also tells you how the person added you via phone number, user search, quick add, etc. They all said user search, though I know he searched it up. And every account had a snap score of 0. So obviously, they had just made the account. I know it was him. Whoever this weirdo was who keeps adding me on Snapchat because I won't send him pictures. Let's not meet. So, let me start out. I'm a very nice person and I'll befriend most people if they're nice and our personalities go well together. Here's where he comes in. At my first job I met this guy. He was nice, but I was in no way attracted to him. Yet I continued to be his friend and I made it pretty clear I'd only be friends with him. I eventually stopped hanging out with him and started ignoring him. But sometimes I fear he'll show up at my job again. I noticed very early on that he was very clingy and would rush to hang out. It was always almost immediately after asking if we would hang out, he would want to stop by. Still, I pushed it aside and said, maybe, he has no friends. However, he held grudges very strongly. Once this girl who also worked with us didn't say hi back to him, and he said, "Forget her, she can die." He wishes bad on anyone who is rude to him. Another red flag to run. But yet I continued to be nice. Summer had ended and I was going back to college. Even though I was about an hour away, he still wanted to hang out. He was willing to drive all the way here just to hang out. I found it kind of annoying that he just wouldn't make more friends and try to push it off. Once he even texted me saying that he would hurt himself, so I called him and tried to comfort him that things will get better. During college, I had Snapchats and finally found someone who I liked and we started dating. That's when he got even more clingy and weird. He was always depressed and talking about no one wants him, and that 21 was a good age to go out. At that point, I was severely annoyed at him because he was trying to guilt me into dating him. When we hung out, he had asked, "Why not me? What's wrong with me?" Every time I chose to hang out with my boyfriend, he would text me things like, "You'll never hear from me again. I'll be gone." I ignored them because there was something not right with that guy. Summer came around again. I was still working at the same company, but a different location. I was still kind of friends with him, though I avoided hanging out with him while I was at college. He worked at the same company, but at the previous location. He wanted to transfer to my location because he hated the people there, and I'd be working at the new location. At some point during the summer, I started to ignore him because he was even more annoying and trying to guilt me into dating him. My boyfriend clearly did not like him because he thinks he's crazy, and he didn't want me near him. An example being, during the same summer, he started talking about buying skips, which he clarified to mean a gun, after I asked because he wanted to tag along with my boyfriend and I said that I wanted alone time and that he would be a third wheel. This is where things get weird. After the fallout and weeks of not texting, he came into my line at the store to buy one single item and said not a word. May I point out that there were 7 other lines open, and he works at the same company but a different location. While working, every now and again, I would look around and see him walking out of the near cashier line. Every time I saw him, I was in the corner register, so thankfully he didn't and couldn't see me. I saw him there on 3 different occasions. I often think about if he has been in the store more than I have seen him. College started again, and I went to live on campus. I would get text messages from him every now and again saying, "Hi, hey, or hey, how are you?" And then he started messaging me on Snapchat to say, "Let's talk about this like adults." I finally replied because at this point, he wouldn't leave me alone. I told him I had no interest in me and his friend because he was toxic and needed to make new friends. He finally gave up. However, winter break has come and I have to decide if I want to work during the break or not. He often talked about getting his gun license. My one fear is that he'll show up when I'm at work. However, I don't feel so safe at home either. I forgot to mention, he lives about 5 minutes away from me. That was another red flag that sprung in my head during our friendship. He was looking to move out of his parents' house. I just find it eerily creepy that he chose the town that I was in, and only minutes away. I have a feeling he'll be lurking through the store. When I go home, I think about if he's sitting in his car in the street next to my house. And one thing I forgot to mention, he never bought me a gift, but he frequently asked if he could buy me a teddy bear. He even made an account on a streaming site. Sometimes I say maybe I'm overreacting. I guess all I can say is wish me luck, and I hope he finds someone else to obsess over. Update. 5 days later after I said, "No, I don't want to be friends," before I made this original post, he messaged me again. I think it's time to call the police. This time it said something along the lines of, "We really need to talk about being friends. Answer this when you're ready." He's clinging so strong. A couple of days later, he's trying to bait me into talking to him by wishing me Merry Christmas. So, maybe. Let's not meet again. This first started when I went to summer camp in my junior year of high school and I met this girl. Her name is Mar. I introduced myself to Mar, and then for the rest of the 6 weeks, I probably talked to her a total of 3 times, which includes my introduction, the time that she locked me and my friend into a room, and when I said goodbye when the camp ended. She seemed really nice and I thought she was extremely sweet. Fast forward a year, I get a text out of nowhere saying, "Hey, I missed you, it's me, Mar." We continue to text, catching up on our lives. At the time, I thought this was normal as I usually get texts from people from that camp trying to catch up, and it was really nice hearing where they were in life. About 9 texts in after catching up on our lives, she suddenly asked, "Will you go to prom with me?" I dismissed it as strange because I thought she was probably desperate to get a date from prom, and me being about a 1-hour drive away was a good distance. She lets me know the date of her prom, which I realize is the day after my prom, and the day before one of my concerts of an orchestra I was in at the time. I let her know my situation, but she continues to try to convince me to go. Every day after, she continues to text me multiple times asking if I could go, saying that I had time to go and that I should do it for her. I said yes in the end. I felt like she really wanted to date to prom for the experience, and I thought, why not? I would want the same if I were in her situation. What could go wrong? 3 days later, I'm playing some games on my PC at the time, when I hear my older sister yell the weirdest thing from downstairs. "Your girl is here." Confused, I go to the window of my room and, what do you know? Mar is standing right in my driveway, smiling and waving at me. Sure, most people think, oh my god, how did she find my address? How did she know that I'm free and what the heck? My dumbass instantly thought, oh crap, she drove an hour here. I feel kinda bad. I head outside to meet her to ask her why she was here, and the first thing she said was, "I drove an hour here, so you should take me on a date." Behind me is my dad, approvingly shaking his head, and before I can say anything, he tells me to go. The man had such a proud look on his face, and that's when I started to realize maybe this situation was getting kinda bad. Maybe. I take her out to a Chinese restaurant and decide to order 3 plates of food all for myself. I realized that maybe if I kept eating, I could decrease the time I had to talk as I'm chewing 75% of the time. To start off, she tells stories about all the guys that she's ever went after were taken by people that she knew. She got increasingly mad as she kept talking to the point where people started to look. Suddenly, she asked me about my relationship with this girl that I had a thing with a few months back. In my head again, I think this is fine. She probably knows about that because she's friends with her friends and they probably told her. I explained my situation about how I don't talk to the girl anymore, and Mars suddenly gets a flare in her eye. She asked me about what I plan to do from the time to college and if I'm interested in dating. I tell her I don't plan on doing anything until college. After a few more places we go to because she said she wouldn't leave until she was satisfied with her time here, we go back home and we decide to play games on my Wii. After a solid game of Super Smash Brawl, she realizes that I'm not having fun and says, "I guess you're kicking me out," and then proceeds to try to kiss me. Out of panic, I put my entire right hand on her face, pushing her away, basically slapping her and giving her a facepalm. I lead her out of my house and to her car, and when she gets in, she starts to take pictures of me on her Snapchat story with the caption, "First date." I tell my parents about my situation, and I swear to God, they literally brush it away saying that, "Oh, people can be like that. You should be happy a girl likes you." My sister slowly figures out that maybe this isn't good, but agrees with my parents because she thought that it would be funny to see how this went. 2 weeks later of dodging her text of her asking to come over again, I'm heading to her pre-prom party. I'm completely exhausted to the point where I could not run, and I was just not ready for another prom. Surprisingly, the pre-prom party and the prom was a lot of fun. Mar didn't do anything to make me feel uncomfortable, and her friends were amazingly funny. After the prom, she takes me back to her friend's house. She then asked if I could stay the night, which I say I can due to my concert that I have the day after. And then she proceeds to get very angry and tries to push for it. And so I text my sister, help. And for the very first time, she comes to my rescue. An hour later, as Mar is getting increasingly madder, I get a call from my sister saying that she's outside. I let Mar know when I leave, so relieved that my day of prom with her was over. A few months later, I get an anonymous letter in the mail addressed to me. Inside were 3 pages, filled front and back with a declaration of love from Mar. It explains that she fell in love with me at first sight, how everything I did made her love me even more, how she couldn't be without me. I meet up with a friend a few days later, and he shows me his Snapchat conversations with her. It's just a wall of text, a wall of questions, asking personal questions about me. For the next year while I was in college, I would get random texts and Snapchats from her showing pictures of her coming to my town asking where I was. There were times where she would go to my town's high school games and send me pictures of our coaches with their jackets and the name of my town on there. Eventually, she stopped messaging me because I had blocked her on everything. So yeah, let's not meet ever again.